Welcome. I am Nikki.
And I'm Katie Green.
And welcome to today's masterclass, How to Build a Candidate Attraction Machine that will create a predictable flow of candidates week in, week out, day in, day out, and more importantly, quality candidates. Now, we've helped over the years hundreds of recruitment business owners to create 7- and 8-figure recruitment businesses, duplicating the systems that we built in both of our own recruitment businesses. In fact, I've personally grown my own recruitment business to 3.2 million GP turnover, and Katie grew hers to over 10 million GP turnover with exact systems. And one of them we're going to share with you today. And these are key areas that we've mastered that make a significant difference to results, but more importantly, to your time, giving you time freedom as well as financial freedom, because that is what this is all about. Mm-hmm. So what I want you to do is to imagine that you've got a consistent and predictable flow of really good quality exclusive candidates that can drop in. It's almost like you dip into this pool and you press some buttons, and then you get a minimum of 3 really great people that you can put forward to each job, because that is what we're talking about creating today, a system that is able to do that. And imagine if that's done by somebody else or something else, or a team of people who do that. So you don't even need to be involved in that. Now, imagine how that would change your world. And it would certainly, I can promise you, create space in your world to focus on things that you'd love to do more of, but for you to be able to work on the business rather than in it. And that is what we're talking about today. So our hope for you today is that you get so much value out of this masterclass that you'd like to continue the conversation and explore the possibility of working with us together. It's, if you like, our way to pay it forward, and not just by doing some sort of flat broadcast like most people do. And to be honest, if all you get out of this presentation is tips and a system that you can implement into your business to make a difference, that is totally okay. But what you can expect from us today in our small time is to make a really big impact. And I hope to change the way that you look at this candidate problem, but more importantly, how you look at growing your business so it actually creates the life that you want, but more importantly, that you can do that with balance, with fun, with joy, and in a really healthy way, plus to create a load of profit for you too. So today we're going to go through the exact steps that you need to put in place to build this candidate attraction machine, which is going to give you these candidates without you having to get involved. And then we're going to show you how you then outsource that, delegate it, pass it out to people and get the consistent level that you've been doing on your own without working any harder. So that is what is on offer today. And the reason why we're doing this now is we hear so many people saying, like, I've got a zillion jobs, I just can't find the candidates. Like, if I could place all of the jobs I've got, I'd be a multi-millionaire, even just in the first 3 months of this year. But what they're also finding is that candidates they are getting out on offer, they're either ghosting them, they're getting counter offered, they're getting multiple offers from multiple places. So they're putting in all this hard work and effort, and they're not getting paid the results. And it's just crazy. And it doesn't need to be like this, at all. So I just want you to know from this, and I'm just going to open up. The thing about this is it's not a candidate shortage problem. This whole issue that you've got with no candidates it's a systems problem, and that is good news for all of you, because there's a system, there's a way that you can create a predictable flow of the right type of candidates. But there's certain things that you've got to go through to make that really work.
And just on that, Nikki, because I think this is like a mindset shift that's really helped our clients, isn't it? Is to actually realize what is really going on underneath this, rather than potentially what is the belief in their head of, well, there's just not enough candidates. Actually, when you have that realization that it's not about the number of candidates in the marketplace, if you think about it, there's no difference between how many people are in the marketplace today and how many were yesterday. What is different here, and this is the if you like, the magic underneath it, is when you understand that it is actually a systems problem, that opens up a whole opportunity for any business who is serious about changing that and wanting to get more candidates, more quality candidates coming to them.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Definitely. And I promise you there's going to be things that we share in this masterclass today that you will probably have never thought about before, that are tiny tweaks that are going to make a big difference for you.
Yeah.
So the first thing we would like to share with you, and this is, if you want to build a high-performing self-managing recruitment business, whether you are a solo recruiter or whether you have 100 consultants in your business, the same process works for everything. There are 4 machines you need to build. The first machine is what we call the attraction machine, which generates leads, if you like, of candidates and clients. You then need a machine that converts those leads into either what we call gold jobs, so quality jobs, or quality candidates. You then need a service delivery machine, which is about you delivering your promise. And then you need an economic machine, which is basically your back office, making sure that you're compliant, you get paid, things happen on time, so your business functions. Now, this, by the way, is the same across any businesses, not just recruitment. There is a difference about recruitment businesses, and that actually we've got 2 products. We've got clients and we've got candidates. And this is the first big thing that most recruitment businesses, one of the biggest mistakes recruitment business owners make, is they will have a machine to generate clients. They will not have a machine that is purely focused on generating candidates. So we actually need 7 machines. We need a machine, attraction machine, conversion machine. We need a delivery machine for clients, and we also need the same process for candidates. And this is where most people fall down. So we talk about this thing called business fast track formula, which basically is a process that you set up in your business, which is a funnel, if you like, that enables you to consistently and predictably attract and win quality candidates. And when you do this, you will increase your fill rates for your jobs, you will increase your fees, you will also open up more opportunities, you'll create jobs, and also your brand and your reputation will go up. And the thing about this system is it runs without you having to drive it. And the first machine, and the machine that we're going to talk about today is the attraction machine. It's the first machine in the 4 machines, because this is the bit that you need to nail specifically with candidates. That's the bit that most people miss, and hence why you are struggling for candidates at the minute. So there are 3 levels in this formula. First of all, we prepare. So we need to define what our ideal candidate is, and then we want to build out our process, if you like, model our process for success, and then we need to set a system in place to prospect, to go out and outreach to get these candidates in. So that's what we're going to talk through today. Now, what is a candidate attraction machine? This is a machine that runs consistently, day in, day out, week in, week out, without you having to be involved. It, as I said, will create a systematic amount of candidates dropping into your lap all the time that you can do some cool things with. Okay, so the mistakes that we see happening, which is causing a lot of these issues with no candidates a minute, people are relying on advertising, they're relying on job boards, and then wondering why people are getting placed by competition. You're basically, Katie, you talk about this all the time, that you're in the Red Sea, aren't you?
Right, you are, because you're essentially, you're putting yourself, you're in the noise, you're with where everyone else is, so you're not allowing your candidates to actually see you, or you're not differentiating yourself, so you're in this pond where everyone else is. And I had exactly this conversation actually, Nikki, with a client yesterday who felt as though they invested a lot of money in one of the job boards. I won't tell you which one, but they've invested a lot of money in that job board, and actually we're getting less ROI now than they've ever had. And that was because they felt like they were just in this noise and they weren't being seen at all. So that, if you like, you're putting yourself into this Red Sea of competition, and we want to move ourselves out of there. So we're all fighting for the same quality candidates, but we're also, it's too late. It's too late in the game if you are putting yourself into that position, because again, that voice in that noise is not going to be heard. So relying on advertising, job boards where everyone else is not going to enable your candidates to really see you for what you can provide to them. We've got to put ourselves into a different position.
Yeah, and it's not saying there's not a place for job boards, but it would not be my predominant source of candidates. It's a nice to have. But even if you look at the candidates coming through job boards, unless you're getting these candidates literally the minute their CV lands onto the system, and you're getting them exclusively and getting them to take their CV off that job board, you're going to be competing with every other Tom, Dick and Harry. So it's not a smart use of your time. What we also find is people, even though they niche, they might say, I specialize in engineering. When we actually look under the bonnet, they will be placing multiple job types and job roles. And it's a human trait to think like, if I've got lots of stuff, then I'm going to be safe. Actually, it's the positive opposite of that. You'd be much better off clearing out 80% of those candidates and focusing on 20% or less, and doing a lot more with them. We're going to talk about this. And then the third mistake is people still working the 360 model. And this is why you're having issues with, you're having to win jobs and find candidates. And then because you're finding candidates, your job stock goes down, and then you have to find new jobs. And then you get this yo-yo billing. And it's not a smart way to be doing it. It's also very exhausting and very frustrating. Plus, it hits your bank balance every third month. It will hit your billings. Also, candidate not being king. So what we mean by this is we see, and I can't think of one client, Katie, ever. Like, one of the stats that we ask for is how many candidates that you register do you actually place? And they're like, what do you mean register? And we're like, the ones that you properly have like an interview, you get under their skin, find out what they're looking for, understand exactly what their dream job is. Like, how many of those candidates do you register each week and place? And no one tracks that stat. And I think it's because so many companies use candidates just as this commodity that, we can tap into or not. And funnily enough, now the market's switched. Yeah, that commodity's gone, basically.
Yeah, 2 fingers up.
2 fingers. Like, you treat me like dirt, and then expect me to jump up,
That is
and
exactly it.
And then we're surprised when there's a shortage of candidates versus clients of ours who really understand the value of a candidate and who are able, just Katie, just think about
when you think about it, when you think about how much time we invest in our clients, like, anyone listening, just think about, your top 5 clients, how much time you invest when you talk to them, what kind of questions do you ask them, how do you take an interest in their business, how do you follow up on that, like, what's that whole relationship sequence that you have with that client, and how much time, energy and attention you put to that. And now think about your top 5 candidates. Would you even know who they are? Do you follow up with them? Do you know what their real needs and wants are, their desires? You might know certain things about them, but how frequently do you contact them? What is that nurture sequence? And this is what we're talking about here, is people understand the value of knowing their clients, and that's something that recruitment businesses have been good at for a number of years. Well, majority of those businesses are good at. But have they ever thought about what that candidate experience is, and what that candidate nurture sequence is, and how they really provide a service level to those candidates? Highly likely a lot of people, if they're honest, probably say, well, we might do parts of that quite well, but actually, do we have a systemized process to following up with those candidates and to nurturing them? No.
And the thing about it is, it's not actually their fault, because it takes time to do it. And like, if you're working jobs and you're delivering clients and you're trying to run a business and you're managing a team, your time's short. And the reality here is, it's not a good job for you to be doing, but somebody needs to be doing it, because you're missing out on the most amazing opportunity. So these are the main mistakes we see. And we're going to walk you through a case study with one of our lovely clients, Marcus Nansen. how he went, actually, he told me, Katie, he actually he blanked the month he reached out to us, and he was panicking. But how he went from 5k feast and famine months, he's to 43k. He's been consistently doing over 30k for the last 6 months with a team actually of 2. I mean, they're broken up. The other people are broken up, so it's not 2 full-time people. But I just want to show you this case study.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: the path to scaling your business to 7 or 8 figures is always simpler and easier and faster than you think. But the problem is that most people think, in order to scale, I need a lot more. I need more clients. I need more jobs. I need more candidates. I need more people. I need more teams. And it's not true. We have this saying, like, less is more. You want to do a lot less, but you want to do a lot more with that less. You want to do less but better. And this is a mindset that when you embrace this, you will double or triple your results very, very quickly, with probably less work and certainly less frustration and overwhelm. And on this, with less and more, we see people working all these different candidate types. They don't understand this Pareto's law, which we're going to share, and therefore candidates just become a commodity versus opportunity. So Pareto's law, and we talk about this a lot, and this certainly was probably one of the biggest ahas in my recruitment business, and also our business now. And it's something we share, and it's a big part of our program, because if you know what the 20% of resources or people or clients or team that give you 80% of your results, if you know what that 20% is, and you hone in on that and you stop doing everything else, so 80% of the stuff that you're doing is only giving you 20% of results. 20% of the stuff that you're doing is giving you 80% of your results. So the idea behind this is, let's work out what that 20% is and do a lot more of it. And there's these things called magic profit levers. By focusing on quality rather than quantity, doing a lot more with a lot less. So for example, if you or you get your consultant to find and build a relationship with 3 or 4 what we call VIP exclusive candidates a month, by just focusing on minimal 1 a week, and you put them into high quality jobs, you will meet or exceed your financial targets by working smarter, not harder. So you'll end up placing probably 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 candidates. But you've got to go much deeper with them. You've got to do a lot more with a lot less. And there's these things we call magic profit levers, which are tiny things. If you tweak in your process, make a significant difference. So for example, if you can fill 75% plus of your jobs, normally you'll be sitting on an absolute fortune, normally to the tune of 300, 500, £1 million increase just by becoming masterful in that one area. But another one of the profit levers, and what we're talking about today, is what we call your MPC profit lever, which is all about finding a very specific type of candidate, the type of candidate, you know, when you meet them, you can place them 5 times over. And you build a pool of these lovely candidates up, and then we create a system that reaches out, and then whenever you need it, you dip into that pool and you send out a message, and people raise their hand and say, yes, I'd like that. You then get them exclusive, and then you work to find them their dream job. That's what we're talking about. So, Katie, anything you want to add on that?
No, I think the key thing here is the simplicity that is really what does the heavy lifting. I think a lot of people think it's more complicated than it needs to be, and you're absolutely right. We talk so much about honing in on what is working and really mastering that and doing more of that. And anyone listening to this call, this webinar today, will have that 20%. It's about identifying them. And I know we're going to talk about that, but that's the key here. I think people think, well, I haven't got that in my business. Yes, you will have that. It's about how you identify that, and then how you focus your team in that right area, because it's easy to distract ourselves or allow ourselves to accept jobs that or types of candidates that aren't necessarily going to give us that ROI.
So just want to show you. So Marcus works in the mortgage space, and he finds he's what we call candidate led, where if you can find a very good quality broker, he can place them 10 times over. But this is the difference I want to show you about, like, when you have this system where you have a message that talks directly to your candidate's pains and problems and desires, this is the type of results you can get. So let's put here, hi Nikki, here's the hot jobs email. It's really simple. Full admin support was highlighted as that's a big plus for his candidates. And he said, so we filled all 3 roles from this message on LinkedIn. We sent out 25 messages. 8 people raised their hands to say, yes, I was interested. We sent 6 candidates and we filled 3 positions.
Yeah.
Now imagine, like, if that's all you needed to do. Every time you got a job, you sent out 25 messages on LinkedIn or to your CRM. 8 people come back exactly the right experience. 6 of those you say, I'm going to put forward to interview, and you make 3 placements.
Yeah.
That's the power of this.
And pre this, Nikki, in terms of the number of candidates that was taking in comparison.
Well, Marcus couldn't find them. He couldn't find them. He was like, I can't find any candidates. I mean, literally, he just didn't have any candidates to put into his jobs. That's why he was lucky if he made 1 placement a month.
And that's
so yeah. This is
3 messages. Yeah.
Yep. Well, 1 message to 25 people.
25,
right. So
yeah.
Step 1. We call this your business X-ray, and it's about really getting clear on what is my avatar candidate. And there's a great saying from Stephen Covey, that leaders will climb to the highest tree in the jungle and then make sure, are we in the right jungle? But most managers are so busy chopping away at the undergrowth, don't even realise they're in the wrong jungle. And we see this all the time, don't we, Katie? People just get so overwhelmed with running a business, you know, answering calls, managing their team, hiring, that they just don't have a second just to stop and go, right, are we in the right jungle?
Yeah.
Are we actually dealing with the right candidates, right clients? So this is what the business X-ray does.
Yeah.
And when you realize this, you are able, and you find what we call your 20%. The business X-ray looks at some specific data on the inch wide, mile deep. So what's the 20% giving us 80% of our results? Because when you focus on everything, you focus on nothing. And this is what we see with a lot of people. They just spread so thinly. They haven't got time to dig deep.
Yeah.
So how do we do this? So here's the thing, success leaves clues. And what we would be saying is you want to look at your existing data. So for example, you'd look at the placements that you've made over the last 12 months, and you want to look at what are the patterns. So you look at the job titles, you'd look at location of the candidates, what skill sets, what salary levels, what their niche, what are the patterns? And so we were doing this with Marcus, and we pulled up all of his placements. There were all types of different people he'd been placing, but there was a block of maybe 5 or 6 candidates. He's like, those are the candidates that are really high value. So we're like, right, we're going to forget about everyone else. We're just going to pick that one job title, and then we're going to build a funnel. But also, we want to know, what source did these people come from? Was it LinkedIn? Was it your CRM? Was it referrals? Was it ad response? Was it headhunting? Because every recruitment business will have a different way that they approach, but we need to know, like, what's the main source that's giving you 80% of your results? So for Marcus, it was definitely LinkedIn, but he just didn't have a process to reach out, and he also wasn't doing it consistently. So we're going to do that initially in terms of defining your candidate. So we say to people, look at the data.
Yeah.
So with Marcus, we got very clear on specific job type, and then what we did is we got really clear what's the biggest problems they've got with their jobs, and what is the biggest desires that candidate wants. And so when we were then building his messages, they basically talked in and around those 2 things. So when a candidate got that message from him, it was like they were literally in their head, and it's like, oh my God, I would like that. He understood what they needed, what they wanted. Yeah. So that's the first step. Second step is we need you to map your success system. So here's, and this is a bit of a truth bomb, and it's a bit of a seatbelt moment, like plug your in, because what I'm about to say can be take people back a little bit. There is a reason why some recruitment business owners build multi-million-pound companies quickly, whilst there's others who struggle to grow and to step out. And we call this these multi-million, highly successful, financially free, time-free people are what we call business builders. They've got this mindset. They restructure their business, their system, so that their energy input comes from the team, from machines, from technology, but not from their own hands and effort. So a business builder, for example, will be able to input 1 and get 10 or 100 back. But what we find is most recruitment business owners, they're at the center of everything in their business. And they've basically created a business that depends on them wholly. And it's all of their energy and all of their time. And the thing about this is, when you are at the center of your business, you might sort of do the work, you'd input 10, but you might only get 1 or 10 back. So, and actually we've got clients who'd be inputting 1,000 and getting 1 or 10 back. So this is why some people are financially and time free, whilst others are paying themselves less than they're paying some of their team.
Yeah.
And this all boils down to systems that produce results with less. Now, if you can understand this concept and you take this on board, you will succeed. You will become hugely successful, and it doesn't take much time at all. Within 90 days, you can flip everything in your world. However, if you fail to understand and dismiss this, you will continue to be a slave to your business.
Yeah.
And when you embrace this shift, you can go from 100K quarters to 100K months by doing 10 times less work, delivering to your clients 10 times better results, and having 10 times more fun.
Yeah.
So I would be asking yourself, what type of person am I? Have I got a business, what we call like a finite business that's centered around me? Or do I have a business that's systems that's generated by others, of which I'm part of that system?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this is the killer question. And Katie asked me this a couple of years ago. She's like, Nikki, what happens if you get run over by a bus? Because everything's in your head. Do you remember saying that to me, Katie?
I do. I do. I genuinely was really worried, for so many reasons, because, and it is a good question. And this is the thing that, a lot of our clients, I think, suddenly realize, and some of them are
we just lost you. She'll be back in a minute.
Put on paper or put into a system or put into any sort of structure that other people can follow. And the thing is that what's up here is genius. What's up here is the systems that everyone needs to follow. And so, the moment that can be extracted out and followed by other people, again, just talking about what you were saying about business building, that makes that whole system so much simpler and easier yet again to do. Whereas I think a lot of business owners feel like, well, how am I going to, a lot of people don't want to manage because it's like, how am I going to teach these people how to do what I do? But actually, it's available to you in a systemized way. It's about how you extract that. But it is a defining moment.
It is, and it's not a natural thing for a lot of business owners to do that.
No.
It's because a lot of entrepreneurs are what we call very big picture thinkers. They're really good at big picture, but when it comes to like detail and process and continuation following through, it's just not something that really floats your boat. And there are certain key processes you've got to get out of your head into a system, because otherwise there's a great quote from Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. He says, like, if you can't step away from your business for 3 months and then come back and it's running at a better pace than it was when you left, you haven't got a business, you've got a job, and a job with a really shit boss, by the way. Who expects you to work 24 hours, 7 days a week? Yes, and never lets up. Yeah.
And that is it. And that's how a lot of people feel, is this chain to their business. Like you say, I mean, the picture says it all, isn't it? Is like chain to their business. I can't move away. I can't go on holiday. I can't do these things. Well, I can do these things, but I'm still needing to be involved in my business. And that's what I want to be free of. And it's totally possible to do that. It's about, it is about systemization.
Yeah. So we need, so the thing is, right, know that people cannot get into your head. They don't think like you. They don't act like you. They don't do. So we have to really spoon feed. If we want this excellence to be done, we have to spoon feed it. And most companies don't do that. There's zero processes to follow. They hire an experienced recruiter and they expect them to be amazing. They then crap, and then they get really annoyed and frustrated, fire them, and then carry on doing everything themselves. So
and then do it again. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll try again. It must have been my recruiting skills there as a recruiter. I must have done that.
And it's not. I can tell you. Right. So with this, we want you to map your steps. Then note your process. I'm going to run through this. Then how to automate it with people, and then what metrics to look at. So the first step is, and this is so simple. Like literally, you get some post-it notes, and you want to ask yourself, like, how do I do it so that it guarantees result, right? And you want to put step-by-steps on post-it notes. Then we're going to go back through this. So when we did this with Marcus, I said to him, right, Marcus, when you are going and getting candidates, I want you to walk me through, like, what's the first thing you do? So he's like, first thing I do is I go on to SalesNav search, and I will search for a certain type of candidate in a certain geographical area. Okay, so I put LinkedIn SalesNav search. Then, right, okay, so once you've done that search, what do you do? So, well, I then pull up the list of people and I send them a message. Okay, cool. Then what do you do? Well, if they look really good, I'll actually pick up the phone and speak to them, in case that was the next step. And then if they don't answer the phone, I send them another message. So this is like the level. So we've got message, mapping out this. And he had about, I don't know, probably about 10 to 12 steps that he did. And right through to the database, how he coded it. That's the first thing we did. Second thing we did with him is we said, right, we'll go back to that first. You did a search on SalesNav, like if you went on holiday or you got run over by a bus, like what would you need to teach somebody so that they could do it exactly like you? So he's actually like, I've got certain Boolean strings. I could take a video of me doing it. Right, so next to each of the steps, we looked at like what needs to happen. So that was like a video and a template. Then with his call, like what did he say? So we actually got him to like record some of the calls he made to candidates, got them transcribed, put them into scripts. So somebody could literally pick up his process and do it as if they were him, following his geniusness. So again, you want to go through each of your levels and think, right, is that a script, template? Do I need to do a video? Do I need to do a checklist? What needs to be in place? And then once you've done that, what skills would this person need to have to do that? Now, someone who does a Boolean search and sends out messages does not need to be a very highly paid salesperson. That's like an admin task. But Marcus had been doing that admin task for years. And it's just like, okay, right, we need to start to think differently about this. So we go through each part of the process. What type of skills does somebody need to have to do this? And then what are the metrics? So in order for you to get one candidate a week, how many candidates would you need to reach out to? What would be the results? How would you know? How many people do you need to screen? How many people do you need to interview? And we looked at what the metrics, what would somebody need to be doing on a day-to-day basis to achieve that result. So that's how you map your system. And once he got that, right, so the part 3 is prospecting. So how you actually prospect and take that message, that process we just mapped out into the market, and you start to generate interest. Now, this is where the magic comes, because what we're saying about this, you need to set up the system. It needs to come from your head onto paper. You build it, somebody else delivers it, and you then need to test and monitor it. And once we've got that system, there's then a set process that you can go through. We call it the outreach process, where you're reaching out to a certain number of people day in, day out, week in, week out, and there's a certain number of people are going to say yes to you. And I want you to know that there is a significant amount of fortune in your follow-up. So here's some really interesting stats. So imagine, like Marcus did, he had 3 jobs he needed to fill. He reached out to 28 people. 8 people came back. 6 people were good enough to put out an interview, 3 placements, right? Now, that was a really good conversion rate because he created a message that really spoke to his candidates. But normally, when you send out a message, so say you sent out, I don't know, a hot job or a message on LinkedIn, only 2 to 3% of people will say yes now. So you send out 100, only 3 people will come back to say yes, I'm interested. But 97% of the candidates you speak to are not going to be ready now. Now this is the killer thing. 80% of people you reach out to will convert between 5 and 12 touch points, but 65% of people who you reach out to in 2 years, 65% of that database will turn into a candidate if you have a system that follows up and catches them at the right time. So let's look at the stats on this. So say, for example, you reach out to, I don't know, 20 candidates a day on LinkedIn. That's actually, let's just see whether I've got this written down here. You should get about 40% of those people connecting with you. So 8 people a day, times that by 5 days. So 40 people a week will connect with you on LinkedIn. From those 40 people a week, 3% will say yes. So 40 times 0.3. So about 1 person a week is going to say yes. But that's 5 a month. And if you are getting those candidates exclusive wrapped up, that's potentially, 5 placements you can make a month by just doing that. But what will happen though is those 40 people, those 8 people a day that you reach out to, in 24 months, you'll have 2,704 people in your network. 65% of those 2,700 is 112 candidates. Times that by 12 months. Hang on. So 2,704 times 0.65. Sorry, that's actually, you'll have, 1,757. I've got my calculations, which divide that by 12 is 146 candidates a month. Now, you're not going to need that many, but even, can you imagine making 146 placements with quality candidates, like these really sought after candidates? Like, times that by your average fee. Say your average fee is, I don't know, 7,000. That's that is 10 million.
And that's the difference. And that is the difference here, Nikki, is what we're talking about here are the numbers we're sharing are the quality candidates because of the messaging, because of the process that you're following. These are going to be candidates that are not right for you or don't meet the criteria or, are those ghosting candidates? Or these are the people, what we're talking about here, these numbers are those quality candidates that you're reaching out to with the right process. You've got that system mapped. You're reaching out to their pains, to their wants, to their desires. And that's the difference. So you're right when you share those numbers because that's what's on offer here.
It is. It's millions. So here's the thing about this outreach, and the thing I talk about doing consistent things day in, day out, week in, week out, right? The thing is, this doesn't need to be done by you. You build the system, you test it, then we need to delegate and outsource it. And this, if there's one slide you take massive attention for, it's this slide here today. So along the bottom is value of activities. Along the side is volume of activities. So can you see in the blue? So all of these activities need to happen to generate a flow of candidates. You need to build a target list. You need to reach out, connect with them on CRM, and we need to send out messages day in, day out, week in, week out. We need to build this funnel coming in from the top. We need to do our touch point processes. So can you see there's a huge volume, and I call it the really heavy lifting grunt work, but really important lifting grunt work. But at this point, nothing's converted, so there's no value to it. Where there starts to become a value is when somebody raises their hand to say yes. So the candidate qualifying conversation, for example, 10 to 20% of your value is there. But a massive whopping, all of the value is then once that candidate's been screened and they're booked in for an interview with either you or one of your highly paid consultants. This is where the real value comes, because you're going to consult that candidate to assess their needs. You're going to demonstrate how you're going to find their dream job. You're going to pitch for exclusivity, and you're going to close that candidate to say, work with me and work with me only. And this is where the value is. And so you and your consultants need to be doing the stuff in green. Potentially the stuff in orange. Certainly it doesn't need to be a highly qualified person to do the stuff in orange, because they can follow a process. But the stuff in blue is admin. It is admin, it's process. You could have a virtual assistant, you could have a VA, you could have an admin person doing this. And this is where the gold is, because 65% of these people that you reach out to in 2 years will become. And so you are in the worst person in the world to do this, the blue tasks. It's very important, but not by you. It's much cheaper to outsource this, or to hire somebody to do it in your team. And we even say it's actually not worth even paying a desk cost for this person, because they could be based in the Philippines, they could be based in India, they could be based anywhere but your office. And it's like a $6 to $10 an hour type person. And it's, oh my God, it's so valuable. So, when we tested Marcus's, so there's a set of messages that we teach people to send out. So we tested these, we got them working. As soon as he tested them for 2 weeks, Marcus then hired a VA. And then what happened was he started getting so many candidates in. And I remember him on a call saying, Nikki, he said, I'm busier than I was before. I'm like, how do I manage my time more effectively? And I'm like, you need to hire somebody else to do the stuff that you're doing. So he then ended up hiring a part-time resourcer. And now he's got so many candidates coming in each week that he has had to hire a full-time candidate talent manager. And this is the person who manages the whole candidate experience, the candidate journey. And then all they do, or what Marcus then does, is he gets past this amazing candidate, wrapped up, pitch ready to go, and Marcus markets them out and does the client stuff and does the delivery stuff. So he is like pig and poo, because he's doing the part of the job he loves.
Yeah.
His resourcer, his candidate managers are pigs in poo, because they're doing the part of the job they love. And then he's got this amazing virtual assistant who is process, detail, who loves what she does, because she's in her organizational, crossing the I's, dotting the T's. And this is basically what happened last week. So he said, this time last year I was working my own, hit 0 month and panicked. This month I hit 43k, bringing me to 72k for this year. So he's done 72k, and this is in February.
Jan and Feb. Yeah.
Jan and Feb. And more importantly, I love my work again. So this is not about, I mean, money's a byproduct, but imagine if you are skippity-doo, coming into work, you love it, you've got confidence, you've got this a huge amount of profit coming in, because his overheads are minimal. He's making about well, a lot of profit. So 43, if you think his costs are probably about 25%, you work maths. That's the level of profit he's making on a monthly basis. And genuinely, he loves what he does. And this is what this is all about, guys. It is about doing the stuff that you love. And you just need to set this system up and get out of the way. And yeah, he does monitor it, he does review it, but he's not managing it. He's not doing that high volume grunt work every single day, and he's got an abundance of candidates.
Yeah, and this is actually what is on offer, isn't it? This is what we're talking about. And I mean, we've covered a lot, Nikki. You've covered a huge amount in today. And you know, I know we always say to people that, look, Rome wasn't built in a day, and what we've just given you is a lot of material that, you know, we've gone, right, here you go, here's what you need to do, and sip from it. You know, we would always rather, Nikki and I, err on the side of giving you too much rather than giving you too little. So we totally realize that, you know, there are things from this that you can go away and you can implement and you can get doing straight away. And there also are things that we've talked about today that you might need some support with to get that organized in your business. So in the short time that we've had to condense and cram quite a lot in terms of the whole process of what we talk about in creating that candidate attraction machine. But we hope you can see how valuable this is to you. And the reality is, you know, maybe you just take a tiny fraction of what we've talked about today. That is going to move your business forward. So if you think on hearing of what we talked about today that this is something that you would really like to get built into your business. If you really want to create momentum in your business and you want to build this systemized candidate machine out once and for all, then please know that absolutely there is a way of doing this. So if any of this resonates with you, then, and you're willing to back it up with action, then we want to invite you to schedule a call with either myself or Nikki or one of our team. And on that call, we will talk about the possibility of working together, depending on your business needs. So if you really want to break through this ceiling of creating a flow of high quality candidates in your business, and you want to do that, and you want to do that in the simplest, the fastest way, and you want some support on that, then this is your invitation to schedule a call with us. And I just want to go back to the point that Nikki made right at the beginning, which is that this is not a candidate shortage problem. It's a systems issue. And as we mentioned, there is a way to change that. Those three steps that Nikki's talked about today is what we would be working with you on and what we work with our clients on to systemize into your business. So if you want to schedule a call, and that's an open invitation for you, then please do so. You can click the link that Nikki is showing, and you'll see that
it's not clickable, unfortunately.
That's not going to work.
So you just need to type that in to your browser, profitaccelerator.centeredexcellence.co.uk/apply.
Yeah, and that really then is a chat with us. So, and we can walk you through that. We'll look at your business needs and we'll talk to you about what that process would look like for you.
I'd also like just to say on this, the Profit Accelerator call, like we also will help you if you're really committed and right for the system, exactly where you need to be focusing your efforts. And there's stuff that we can see in people's businesses they can't see because they're too close to it, that will double and triple your results really very quickly. And I'm talking about like money here, but actually there's so many people that we work to where actually the biggest thing for them is time. You know, they just don't have the time freedom that they want in their business. And so it's not just the result, the bottom line results we're talking here. It's actually about creating a business that you go on holiday and not check your emails. You know, you can have dinner with your kids and not be thinking, oh, I should be, in my office talking to people. It's actually creating a business that can run without you being there. So yeah, you'll get my point of saying that is there's a lot of value in these conversations as well, even if it's to get clarity on this is what I need to do. So if you want to get results quicker, faster, we've got everything. We've got like a plug and play system with the templates, the processes, and the implementation to do it.
Yeah, and a passion behind us, because boy, we've been teaching this process now. God, how long's it been? I mean, it is a brand new process, but it probably is 6 months that we've been teaching this, and this has transformed businesses. I mean, Marcus is just one example of so many. And like you say, Nikki, the fact that he goes to the gym, he's got time with his kids, the things that it has enabled our clients to do, never mind take the stress away from, is it me? What is going on for me? Because I think that's what a lot of people are feeling is, oh my God, how do I change this? I've got loads of clients, but I haven't got the candidates. And yeah, that's where this transforms that reality for you. So yeah. So here to help.
There you go, guys. Right. So we promised we'd also open this up to questions. I can see some. Hi, Stephen. I can see you. Great to hear from you. Leonie, this is not going to be recorded, I'm afraid. We're doing this live just because, for the very point, like you guys have invested your time here to be live. So, questions, guys. What questions have you got? Anything that any issues or problems or challenges that you're currently facing linked in and around candidates? Please feel free to type into the chat box, and we will answer questions. It won't be available for download, I'm afraid, Denise. But there's some other stuff we can point you to for the direction list. Now, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, does this work with if you're a solo recruiter? Absolutely. Like Marcus was a solo recruiter, and his VA he hired just to work 2 hours a day to start off with, and then volume got so big, and then the number of candidates coming in got so big, that's why he then needed to hire others, but he had then the money in the bank to do that. So Dawn's asking about Katie getting commitment from the candidate. How can she get her team improving commitment from the candidate?
And that's definitely in the initial conversation with that candidate about, and this goes back to their needs and wants, and really crafting out what that candidate is looking for. Because a lot of, I think you touched on it, Nikki, a lot of people don't spend that quality time with candidates, or maybe rush that interview process, and so don't spend that quality time with that candidate really finding out what's their reason for leaving, what is it that they really want and don't want in the next role, and also getting that commitment from them. Because we're talking about process here where you're going to package your candidates and you're going to wrap them and really present them to your clients. So you're going to do some active work on their behalf. So this is about having that expectation with that candidate about what you're going to do for the candidate, and therefore what you need in return for that. So the process is it's like an advanced, it's VIP, it's a VIP service offering that you're offering to that candidate. So there's some questions that you want to run through with your candidates at the beginning to get that commitment from them.
Yeah, and I think this is also, Dawn, I would really look at where are those candidates coming from, because if they're coming from ads response, then it is likely you're not going to have loyalty, because there's a zillion people talking to them about identical jobs. Well, and this, like when we had this issue in our business, we looked at like where are our best quality candidates coming from, and they were coming from our CRM, referrals and recommendations. So I'm like, right, but where were my consultants spending majority of their time? Searching job boards for CVs, responding to advert response. So I said, right, you guys, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to stop advertising and doing like non-advertising candidates was what we were then after. And I changed their metrics, I changed their focus. And so I got them then, like one of their KPIs was to do 30 kit calls a week with CRM. Every candidate they spoke to, they had to ask for referrals and recommendations. But I would check them every week. I'd say, right, show me who the names of the people you got referrals of this week. And they were targeted at getting certain things. And so whenever you're trying to make change in your business, you just remember you need to either say it 2,000 times, or you need to do it consistently for 4 months before it like lands. So I was so bored of talking about the referrals, keep in touch calls, and we did incentives around it, like made it lots of fun. But like I'm like, Jesus, has this not landed in their heads yet? Because I felt I was talking about it all the time, and I was. But suddenly, what happened? Which wasn't suddenly, actually. A year later, I looked at what percentage of candidates we'd placed through non-advertising. So when I looked at it to start off with, we were placing about 32% of candidates through non-advertising, but they were really good quality candidates. When I changed the focus of my team to referrals, recommendations, working our CRM, finding candidates that weren't actively looking, headhunting, in a year that changed to 78% placed through non-advertising, which was an extra £1 million net profit. Actually, not net, gross profit, but.
And that's a really good point, Nikki, because Dawn said it is job boards. So what you might want to look at as well, Dawn, is what is that best source for you? So look at the candidates that are higher value. Look at the candidates and actually where they've come from, because you might be surprised. You might be spending money on job boards, but is that actually generating you the high quality candidates that you want to place more of? So again, that success leaves clues. I would go back and look at that. And the other thing about the loyalty that you're talking about there is a question to also look at is, how are you building that loyalty and that relationship with those candidates. Because a lot of people, and I understand why that is, but a lot of interaction and engagement with candidates tends to be non-phone related. And there comes a point when you've got to switch that to a phone call. And in the process that we've been talking about, you heard Nikki talk about Marcus, there has to be, you've got to have that face-to-face, that one-to-one contact to build that loyalty and relationship. So I know with some interaction, it tends to be that people are still using, even when, so they might brief a candidate, but then all the interaction goes straight back onto this transactional process. So we do also need to look, and this is what we mean about that candidate experience. Like, what is the experience that a candidate is having with you? And is that building trust? Is that building loyalty? Is that building them the need or the desire to share things with you that perhaps they wouldn't ordinarily, because they don't feel that there is that depth of relationship with you? So these are things that are also important in the process when we're looking at that experience and building that candidate experience and that loyalty with them. I don't know if I've frozen.
Yeah, no, I agree. The thing is, though, if you're doing that with candidates from job boards, you can only do that level if they haven't been marketed out. You know, there's no point spending that level of time with somebody whose CV is already in the system, which is why I would be switching it. You want, you know, and this is why I said, like, job boards have got a place, but like it might be you pull CVs off job boards, which you then put into like a nurture sequence, and in the next 2 years, those candidates will turn into NPCs. So you've then got this nurture sequence. So you might use job board candidates for referrals, recommendations, and then you've got your consultants calling them every 3 months or sending something of value ad every 3 months. They will become candidates in time, but you've got to have this touch process in place, and that's where most recruitment businesses miss out, because consultants maybe reach out once, maybe twice, but they certainly won't reach out 3, 4, 5, 12 times, because they forget or they don't have time, which is where when you've got a VA doing that, it happens consistently, day in, day out. So yeah, I would look at other ways to get candidates within your very amazing network. And I bet, like, I knowing you, your CRM is an absolute gold mine. You just need to get you guys focusing on digging into it.
Yeah, referrals, recommendations. Yeah.
Okay. Sarah, you're asking, do we work with fresh starters with no clients? We do. And though you need to have a level of recruitment experience. So say, for example, you've been a top biller for somebody else and then you're setting up on your own, we can totally help you. If you're coming in with no recruitment experience, then we're not the best people to start. Where we can make significant changes for people is where they've got like a base level, and we look at what they're already doing and we go, right, tweak this tiny bit, tweak that, and then the results go up. But if you've got experience and you've got a proven track record of success, we can give you a system that you can literally plug in and play and generate clients within days. So Dawn, yeah, I would actually say, you know, this would be a really good thing to bring to conversation with us, because there will definitely be something they're missing, but I would need to see what actually they're doing. Like this for me would be an example where we'd need to dig under the bonnet a bit, but I promise you there's stuff. And if we looked at the stats, it'd be interesting to see what they say. So, but it's, you know, it's how you use the database. Are they consistently asking for referrals, recommendations? Like I'd look at what's the candidate experience, how can we tie people in, so they like, it's things like crazy things like sending a birthday card once a year. I mean, that stuff is so simple, but it goes that's a touch point that no one else will probably be doing in your space. When they get a job, even if they're not placed by you, you send through, you know, you send through you know, congrats letter, and you know, we talked about this, you know, like a branded mug or something, you know, people remember stuff like that. Anyway, so there's loads of things that you can do, but I would recommend we dig deeper under that bonnet. Cool. All right, well, that is us at the 60 minutes on the dot. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out. I and Katie truly hope that you found this beneficial. If you want to move forward fast, get this set up, get it sorted once and for all, then all we need to do is to apply for Profit Accelerator at profitaccelerator.centeredexcellence.co.uk/apply. And we look forward to speaking with you.
We'll see you there. Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a goodie. Bye.
Bye-bye.